my soul always on the
And if the world falls apart around me, Satan will never defeat me. As long as Christ is holding me, I believe that his hand is mighty. And if the world falls apart around me, Satan will never defeat me. As long as Christ is holding me, I believe that his hand is mighty. With Christ I fear not war. I walk among the flames. My faith brings down walls, and even mountains shake. And if the world falls apart around me, Satan will never defeat me. Is holding me, I believe that his hand is mighty. And if, the world falls apart around me, Satan will never defeat me. As long as Christ is holding me, I believe that his hand is mighty. I will never bow. God's promises lift me up. Christ is my one safeguard. His power is enough. And if the world falls apart around me, Satan will never defeat me. As long as Christ is holding me, I believe that his hand is mighty. And if the world falls apart around me, Satan will never defeat me. As long as Christ is holding me, I believe that his hand is mighty. So today we have Dr.MicheL Karass. He is a second-year medical resident at New York Medical College. He's worked in a transplant center with many liver cancer patients. Liver cancer, right? Liver transplant patients, mostly because of drug and alcohol abuse. He is the president of the student chapter at Samana and he was with me and my mom in Bolivia this past year. So we got to know him, got to work with him, and of course it was an honor because he's great to work with, great to hear from. And so, Dr.MicheL Karass.
Hey guys, it's such a pleasure and an honor to be here with you all. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Maggie. Alrighty, let's see. Alrighty. So, what is common between all these guys? They died. Okay, that's a great way to start. Absolutely. They all passed away. What else? They're famous. They're very famous, right? They were very successful, very well renowned, right? Okay, what else? They died from drug or alcohol overdose. Yes, absolutely. What else? They're not Christians. They didn't live, many of them did not exhibit Christ in their lives. You could say that, yes. But yes, they were very successful, very well known, right? Like when I went to Egypt, my name was Michael Jackson, right? It was like automatic. So yeah, they were very young, except for Sigmund Freud, who wasn't that young. But very successful, very well known. So they had power, they had money, they had fame, but yet they had to seek drugs or alcohol to really escape from their reality, right? Which gives us a picture of how they really felt and how they really were. It's kind of, I mean, you see someone like Michael Jackson and you are like, okay, this guy has everything that you'd want, right? He has a roller coaster in his house. Yeah, he did. And like, I think he had an elephant and a giraffe in his house. He had a zoo in his house, right? He's very famous. Everyone knew Michael Jackson. Very successful, but yet wasn't that happy, right? But anyways, so today we're going to talk about the negative effects of alcohol and drugs. And the goal is for us, this is not like a health ed class. The goal is not for me to tell you alcohol and drugs are bad, but for you to be ambassadors and to really be leaders in your communities. Some of you are going to go to college pretty soon, and someone's going to give you a glass of beer or going to offer you like a joint of marijuana. And again, the goal is not to demonize objects or things, but to really make you think about why you would do something like that. And is it always bad? Is it always good? What's the thought process? All right? So let's get started. So first of all, alcohol. What's the big deal about alcohol? Who thinks alcohol is a bad thing? Okay, alrighty. So we have like 30% saying that alcohol is bad. Okay. Who thinks alcohol is a good thing? Okay, so we have the same 1%. Okay. All right. Who thinks it's a bit more complicated than that? Alrighty. Okay, vote 3 times. So, Philo, tell me your thoughts. How's alcohol good? How's it bad? And how's it in between?
I mean, it's like one time when you're over 21, of course.
Okay. So when you're of legal age?
It's bad, obviously, because some people will drink so much that they're drunk and like they go for a drive.
Mm-hmm.
They crash.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're telling me it could be dangerous to your life if you're inebriated and then you go driving. Okay. What else?
What was the other option?
Just good, bad. Why is it good? Why is it bad?
So, yeah, it's pretty.
Why is it good? You didn't tell me
Oh, yeah.
how alcohol could be, or what's. Would you ever drink alcohol?
I mean, probably not.
Probably not. Okay. That's fair.
Yeah.
Okay. Victoria. What do you think? It's up to you.
Well, it could be bad, like when people use a lot of it, but it could also be used like in celebrations, like weddings and like ceremonies and stuff.
Okay. All right. So you're telling me that it could be used. People could use it to get drunk, right?
Yeah, people can use it badly like that.
Okay.
Or they could use it to just celebrate.
To celebrate. Okay. All right. So it could be a way for people to get together and celebrate something. Okay. All right. What else? What do you think?
I don't think alcohol is bad
Okay.
in the sense that, like in our religion,
Uh-huh. It's up to you.
like, so when Jesus, like, the first miracle that Jesus did was the turning of the water to wine.
Okay.
If God thought that alcohol was bad, he wouldn't have turned water into wine. So obviously
Okay.
it's not bad in the
Okay.
celebration standpoint, but however,
Uh-huh.
like, use it to get drunk
Mm-hmm.
and you get too addicted to it, then that's bad.
Mm-hmm. So Susie, what do you think?
Well, I think the Bible say that alcohol is nothing on is a substance that can cause addiction and can cause people to have unresponsible behavior under influence that can affect themselves and others. And there is sometimes that fine line between using it socially and using it to a point when you actually become addicted or misuse it. So you never know when you're going to cross the fine line if you allow yourself to start.
So yeah, absolutely. So Tansuzi hits it on the nail. So it's a very fine line between drinking a drink or two. The two can become three. The three can become four. It's hard to decipher, right? Someone can drink one drink and feel totally fine. Another person can drink a drink and become affected in a negative way. And it's in society, it's generally viewed as what, positive, negative? Negative. Okay.
I feel like it's seen as a normal thing.
Seen as a normal thing. So you're going to be in college pretty soon. Your friends or those around you are going to tell you, hey, it's Friday night. What are you doing? You're like, all right, I don't know. I'm free. You want to come out to the bars? Let's just go grab a drink. Let's celebrate the end of the week. What do you think? Is it bad?
It depends on like the type of friend.
Depends on the type of friend. Okay. Yes. It's bad because you're underage. Absolutely. So that's one thing. So you're breaking the law. Okay. Yes. Yes, Mark. Okay. Well, let's say you're 21 now. Let's say you're in college, you're a junior, and you're 21. What do you think? You'll be skipping Bible study. So you could be, absolutely. So you're skipping something that is good, right? Or something that's positive and is edifying, to do something that might not be as edifying, right? Okay. What else? Yes? Sorry? Drink responsibly. So what are you telling me that it's good because you're going to drink responsibly, or what are you trying to say?
Drink responsibly.
What do you mean? So again, the scenario is it's Friday night. You've been studying all week. Okay, it's 8 p.m. and Bible study is canceled that week. Okay, and due to inclement weather, there's a bar that's about 5 minutes away walking. Okay, or there's a party. There's a party in the dorm, so you don't have to go anywhere. And your friend invites you over to a party to go drinking. What do you think about that? Your friend is an honor student. He gets A's in all his classes. He's very popular, very well known, very well respected. What do you think? You don't know. It's tough. It's tough, right? And you're like 3 hours away from home, so you have no family around. Churches might not be that close, right? You have a friend who you know pretty well, you study with day in and day out, and he tells you, hey man, we're gonna just get together in my room. We're gonna bring lots of friends. We're gonna get a lot of beer and alcohol to celebrate the end of the week, to kind of relax, unwind. What do you think about that? It's social, right?
I feel like you never know a person until like they're put under that circumstance, like what happened, that situation. Like you never know what they're gonna do when they're put in that type of situation.
Right. So the goal is for you to know before you know, because once you know, it's hard to not know. The goal is for you to go to college or to be in that instance, and then come up with a reason why you're doing what you're doing, whatever it is you're doing. So what do you think? Would you go?
I wouldn't go.
You would not go. Why?
Go for what? What was the question?
Question is, it's Friday night, Bible study is canceled.
No, I heard the whole scenario.
Okay, all right. The question is, would you go to the party?
No,
You wouldn't go to the party.
no,
Okay, why not?
because I don't go to parties.
Okay, good. Why?
They're not my scene.
They're not your scene. All right.
Not a cup of tea.
Okay. What if your Coptic friends are not around, and your school friends are around, and they're going out drinking, they're going out to the party, right? You're going to go celebrate one of your good friends' birthdays, right?
Yeah, I would take a nap.
You'll take a nap.
Yeah.
Just skip it. Okay. All right. What do you guys think? Any other thoughts? Anyone would go? You would drink water. So you would go, but you would drink water. Okay. So you're telling me you're going to go to a party where they're going to go and drink. alcohol, and you're gonna be like, nah, man, I'm good. Just pass me the Aquafina. I'll be all right. How's that gonna fly? It's not gonna fly, right? What do you think, Phil?
See, I wouldn't go because it would lead up to everybody's like drunk around you.
Everyone's drunk around you. Absolutely, they will be drunk.
That'll lead to sinful things.
They will
later
lead to
on.
sinful things.
So
yes.
just hit up the local KFC and just skip the party.
Hit up the
and
local
you're good to
KFC and just
go. Yeah.
okay. Not on Friday, of course. Just kidding.
Oh yeah, definitely not Friday.
Definitely not Friday.
Fish fillet.
Official filet. Yes. Just kidding. Yes, Maggie.
I would say I wouldn't go.
You wouldn't
also.
go. Okay.
Um,
And so, okay, I'm telling you, so I'm your best friend. I'm like, hey, let's go to the party. What are you gonna say?
is it still a birthday party?
Yeah, it's my birthday party.
I would take you out the next day for dinner.
But why don't we just? I mean, do you have anything to do tonight?
No, but I'm tired.
You're tired. I mean, come on, celebrate. I mean, we've been studying all week together. Come out for like an hour or two, just an hour.
Which is why I'm tired. I'm tired from studying.
Okay, all right. So like, how about this? Like, I'll come by in like half an hour. I'll pick you up.
Well, I still have to be there and be awake, so that doesn't really help.
It's okay, just for 1 hour, Maggie. Come on. We've been studying so hard together. We gotta like.
It's an inside joke. No, it's okay. Maybe next time.
Maybe next time.
I'd always say maybe next time, but I really mean no.
There's no next time.
There's no next time.
There's no next time. Okay. Alrighty. So this is
also annoying for me.
this is a scenario that you're gonna be in. You're gonna face like 100%. If you're gonna go into any type of school, any type of work, someone's gonna ask you. And if you talk to other human beings, they're gonna ask you. They're gonna be like, okay, we're gonna go out drinking, or we're going to this party. Come with, right? Or you know what? I got this pretty sweet joint. Just puff, puff, pass. Like, just try it out. No big deal. See if you like it. It's natural, right? It's herbal. It's organic, right? God created it. Can't be that bad, right? But it is a big deal. It is a huge deal. Alcohol is one of the things that seem to be benign, seem to be pretty available everywhere you go, right? You could go to a gas station, go to Exxon Mobil and get a beer. Like, it's very, very available, right? You can go anywhere. You go to Applebee's, right? What's more benign than Applebee's, right? You get a beer. That's fine. And the issue is not really the one beer that you have. I'm not here to tell you that if you ever drink alcohol, you're a sinner and you're gonna go. This is not the goal. But most times that you're gonna drink alcohol, it's gonna be in a setting that you're not gonna be glorifying God. It's not gonna be in a setting where you're gonna be praising God, right? Like 95% of the times, right? Okay, so that's one thing. It's also very addictive. I mean, you might not notice this or you might not see this, but I have people with me in my residency program that are physicians, that are working successfully, but who can't really socialize unless they have a beer in their hand. Who, when they're stressed, their way to relax is to crack open a bottle of wine and drink a bottle that night. These are people in their like late 20s, right? What do you think of that person when they're 50-something? If they're drinking half a bottle or a bottle of wine every 2 to 3 days? That's a lot, right? It's going to take a toll on you. It's going to totally destroy your liver. It's very addictive, right? It's going to destroy your family. Your friends are not going to be your friends anymore. It's going to be a different circle. It's going to change who you are as a person. And your priorities are going to be totally mixed up, because once you're addicted to something, it supersedes everything else that you care about, because it's kind of becomes like an inner instinct, something that you become something like an animal, like something that you just have to have in order to function, which is pretty bad. So it's very addictive. That's one thing. Alcohol is very, very addictive. 1 in every 12 people suffer from alcohol abuse or dependence, believe it or not. It's a lot of people, 17.6 million in the US. 50% of all adults have a family history of alcoholism or problems drinking. So 50% of adults have someone related to them in some way or form that had a drinking problem. And if you look at the literature, it's part of it can be genetic. So families that have higher incidence of alcoholism tend to be more susceptible to becoming addicted to alcohol. So that's one thing. You also destroy families. So more than 7 million children live in a household where at least one parent is dependent or has abused alcohol, which is a big deal. I don't know if you've known or you've seen anyone, but I've seen families being totally destroyed where the father can't work, can't function. He goes home. He spends all his money on drinking. He keeps drinking all night. Wakes up the following day, dazed and confused. He becomes abusive to his family. He can't hold a job. He goes driving and hits people. It's totally destructive. And 88,000 deaths are annually attributed to excessive alcohol use. So it's not a benign thing, unfortunately. Okay? It's also the third leading lifestyle-related cause of death in the nation. All right? And it's responsible for 2.5 million years of potential life lost annually, or an average of about 30 years for those who abuse alcohol. Okay? And these are some of the effects on your body. So it affects your liver, can cause cirrhosis. It makes you, so when your liver goes, a lot of things go. So you can start bleeding from your upper GI tract. You become yellow. Your abdomen becomes distended. You could develop encephalopathy where you basically become cuckoo. You can't think. Right? It's called hepatic encephalopathy. There's toxins building up in your body that you can't get rid of, and you become crazy. You can't function. Like totally nuts. Like totally not. Like it's actually weird. Like you see a person and they're just totally out of their mind, and you give them something to help them get rid of the toxin from their body, and then they start waking up. It's crazy. It destroys everything in your body. Increases your risk of doing things that you wouldn't do when you're not drinking. It affects your judgment, affects your kidneys, your heart, affects your whole body. And just as a medicine resident, I work in a liver transplant center, and life on the liver transplant floor is very sad in many ways. I mean, you see people that are in their 40s and their 50s who are bedridden day in and day out. They're waiting for a liver to save their lives. They're literally dying in front of you because of alcohol. That's it. They're fine otherwise, but their liver is completely destroyed. And they're just waiting for someone to donate a liver to them. And it's pretty sad. I mean, you see them just in bed day in and day out. You see them vomiting blood in front of your eyes. You see them confused. They don't know who they are. You see them without family, without friends. And I mean, I'm sure if you talk to these people 20, 30 years before that, when they were young, I mean, they'll tell you that, you know what, it all started in college when I was alone by myself and I had friends who went out drinking. And I went and got a couple of drinks. And then the one drink became 2 drinks, the 2 drinks became 3 drinks. And it became part of who I am. It changed who I am as a person. It wasn't just something that I did on a Friday night. It became who I am as a person. And without it, I can't really function. I've lost my sense of identity in it. And it's pretty sad. It's very sad. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Think about that person who's in their 40s and still pretty young, still can do a lot of good things in society, but are bedridden because of a beer that they decided to drink in their college years. Right? Okay. So that's alcohol. What about marijuana? What about marijuana? It's natural. Didn't God create it? Come on, guys. Can God create something that's bad? It could be used in a bad way. So you're telling me that the subject itself is not bad, right? But it could be used in a bad way. So again, it's Friday night. You just finished a week, right? You've been studying all week, and someone tells you, we're gonna get together, or they don't even tell you. You're already at a place, right? You're already in your dorms, and just your roommates get together in like the hall or like in one of the rooms, and they just crack open a joint, and they are like, "Hey, just try this. It's pretty good. You're gonna like it. What do you think?" What do you think? I mean, it's herbal, it's natural, right? Everyone knows that it's like all this like media stuff it's not true. Like they just lie to us, right? So what do you guys think? Just walk out. But why? Isn't it natural? Isn't it good for you? I mean, what's the big deal? Okay, why not? Huh? You can't eat it. You could put it in a brownie and eat it.
Go hang out with my RA.
You're gonna go hang out with your RA. Okay. Yes, Al.
So there's a kid in my grade whose brother,
Okay.
cousin, I'm speaking loudly enough. I have a kid in my grade whose brother, his cousin, and one of his close friends all died because of drug overdoses.
Okay.
And his brother specifically was on anxiety medication, which he ended up overdosing on.
Okay.
So he said had marijuana been legalized, he probably would have had that, which wouldn't have caused an overdose. So how do you come back at that and be like, well, because like you can't overdose on marijuana.
Okay. All right.
You have to take so much in such a small time that like it's like, which is like insane.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And again, I'm not saying that marijuana is 100% always going to be forever the worst thing in life. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that it's Friday night and you're being offered a joint. I'm not saying you went to a doctor and after a lot of research they decided that marijuana is actually useful in some circumstances. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying for someone who has anxiety, after prolonged research, they did enough research to conclude that this is something that could be useful, which is not the case right now. But in the future, like anything else, like any substance, it could be studied, and they could find, like morphine, right? Morphine is used for pain. Morphine is an opioid. It's a drug, but it's used for pain relief. Is it bad if you break your femur and then someone gives you some morphine in the hospital? It's not bad, right? It's used for pain control in a very controlled setting for a specific purpose. So I'm not demonizing marijuana. I'm saying you're taking it recreationally in an environment in college or in high school. What's wrong or what's right about that? Yes.
Usually they say marijuana it could actually just be like one time you do it and then the addiction starts there.
Okay.
So then after that, it's known that marijuana is also a gateway drug.
It's a gateway drug. Okay, what's a gateway drug?
So gateway drug would be like first you do marijuana.
Okay.
Maybe then later on you do something else like heroin or cocaine.
Okay. So it could be a way to get introduced to a group of people or to an environment that leads you to use things that are more harmful, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What else do you guys think? What do you think?
Exactly what you're pointing to.
I don't remember the question, to be honest.
So the question is, again, it's Friday night. You're in college. You're working hard. You're getting A's. You're doing pretty well, and Bible study is canceled. Okay, church is 2 hours away. It's snowing outside. Okay, and the people that you study with day in and day out, you're already in the room. You're with them, and they bring out a joint and they start smoking. And they're like, "What's your name?"
Giovanni.
Giovanni, try this joint, man. You're gonna love it. What do you think?
I have an exam on Monday, guys, or I have to go study.
You have to go study. Come on, man. I mean, you have no exam next week. You just got done. You're taking the same classes. What are you
I'm
talking
studying
about?
for the exam I have next year, guys.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I mean, right? It gets you become more creative. You're gonna.
Wow.
You become more creative. Like, look at Jimi Hendrix, right? I mean, the guy's pretty creative. He smoked all the time.
He was a good guitarist.
What about Bob Marley? Huh? Like, do you, I mean, tell me if you think that it's something that you would one day, maybe it's not that bad, tell me. What do you think?
I'd rather not.
You'd rather not?
Yeah.
Okay, why?
Just like, as a child, like you've always been told like not to do drugs,
Right.
regardless, whether
Okay.
it's medical or just for fun. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd just rather not.
Okay, all right. And for very good reasons. I mean, marijuana, it's not that benign. I mean, they did studies. They monitored a group of people who smoked marijuana heavily versus a control group, another group of people that did not smoke marijuana. And years down the line, they compared their IQs from the beginning. So they took a test in the beginning, and then they compared their IQs years down the line, and they saw that they had lost IQ points. They got dumber. That was not reversible. Even those who stopped smoking after that were still dumber than they were before. Don't be dumber. Don't smoke. Okay, that's one thing, right? So it decreases your mental strength, okay, which is something that it's going to be very useful in your future and right now. Okay, as something that you smoke, it causes lung infection. It affects your lungs in many different ways, similar to tobacco. It's been proven that increases the risk of you dropping out of school, more job absences, more accidents, more injuries, because instead of going to work, you're going to smoke a joint, right? And 30% of users, I mean, in many ways, you could say that it's not addictive, right? Marijuana, obviously, it's not addictive. 30% of users tell some degree of problem use, dependence, or addiction. This is science. These are facts. It could cause hallucinations, it could cause paranoia. And again, it changes the person that you become. Okay? All right. That's marijuana. All right. What about K2, spice, synthetic cannabinoids? You never heard of them? Good. But they're basically, it's like a synthesized marijuana that is less regulated, that's more easily accessible. And because of that, I just sent a paper to be published about two people who came into the hospital out of their minds on synthetic cannabinoids with severe destruction to their kidneys. Caused something called thrombotic microangiopathy in them, which is pretty severe. Affects their heart and their kidneys. So it could be pretty severe. It's something that's not regulated. And because it's not regulated, it can be mixed with a lot of different things that you are not aware of, which is a problem. It can cause agitation, anxiety, your heart races, increases your blood pressure, nauseous, you vomit, it can cause muscle spasm, you can seize. Seizures, they're not fun, guys. They're not fun. Not fun at all. You can hallucinate, you become psychotic, become crazy, suicidal. So not fun at all. Okay.
Does it look the same? Can you tell which one is which?
It looks like this.
Oh, I didn't see it.
It looks like that. So it's called K2. It's called spice. And again, in college, someone might, or even in high school, I mean, it's not as heavily regulated, so it's more easily obtainable. Someone could be like, I got it from like online. I mean, it wasn't that serious, dude. It's called spice. I mean, it sounds pretty benign, right?
I think there was an epidemic in New York recently.
Yes.
They were finding people just unconscious. Brooklyn, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And it was because it's cheaper and it's out on the streets. And people, they knew that this spot, that they just found
Right.
people unconscious there because of the
Because of K2. Yeah, it's pretty serious. Okay. What about opioids? So what are opioids? Opioids, from opium. So they're all a family of drugs from the same source. Things like codeine and cough syrups, morphine, oxycodone, Percocet, heroin. The problems with these things is that in many ways they're used medically, so they're easily obtainable. I mean, you could go to a dentist, they would like, I don't know, change something, and they would give you like a bottle of Percocet. And again, if it's used in an acute setting for something very controlled, it's not bad, it's fine. But in the long run, it's pretty damaging. It's really addictive. I see people in my clinic who come in who have been on opioids for years, and they crave it, man. It's super addictive. I had a guy who had cystic fibrosis who was stuck in the hospital for months, and he was addicted to opioids and to heroin, and he would sneak out of the hospital to go get high and come back.
I love how he comes back. On his own, comes.
Yeah. Young guy in his 20s, yes.
So if someone comes in, they're like addicted to any of these things.
Uh-huh.
How would you get them off their addiction?
Great question. So you first you see why they were addicted. So why are they addicted? So is it because they had a condition that they needed it for? So let's say they have chronic pain and they needed it for their chronic pain, or is it something that they've got heroin from off the street? So you could do it like a slow taper, so you could decrease the amount that they're on. You could use other substances like methadone. There's like a methadone clinic where you go to where you don't get the high, but you don't get the cravings either. So it's something that you could use in the long run to decrease your dependence on it. So there are different ways that are available. But first of all, you have to recognize that it's a problem and seek help. But there's always a way to seek help and to get over the addiction. Any other question? Okay. All right. So yeah, it's highly addictive. You get severe withdrawal symptoms. You could overdose on it. If you use it through IV, intravenously, you could get HIV, you could get hepatitis, you could get infection of the heart linings, something called endocarditis. So it could cause abscesses. Not fun, guys. Not fun at all. Cause chronic constipation, gastrointestinal cramping. And also, if you get it from the streets, it could be easily mixed in with other substances that you don't know about, which can cause serious problems. Okay? Alrighty. What about any of those? Looks like Smarties. Looks like good, right? Like Skittles. Yeah, so these are some of the things that are in the bar/club scene. So it's you'd go in a club, in a bar, and someone would pass on like an LSD or some acid or some ecstasy. And it looks fun. It looks like a Skittle, right? But you're going to be seeing rainbows pretty soon if you take one of those. You're gonna taste the rainbow for real. So yeah, they're hallucinogenic. You're gonna start hallucinating. PCP can cause severe agitation, cause convulsions. LSD can cause panic attacks. You could have flashbacks years down the line. So someone who used LSD 10 years down the line can have a flashback. Ecstasy is very addicting. It can affect your sleep, your memory, your mood, your appetite. So again, don't use it. Okay. So this is like a cool quote that I saw. It says, drugs kill the pain, but also kills the joy, the hope, the body, the brain, and finally the soul. We're going to sell it for fundraising. So in many of these instances, the substance itself wasn't bad, and in many ways it could be used even medicinally. But the way that you're probably going to face it, it's not going to be in a way that is medicinal. It's going to be in a time when you're by yourself and someone is using it recreationally, and they're going to offer it to you. And they're going to tell you, you know what, you studied hard. Why don't you relax and grab a couple of beers with me, or let's smoke a joint or two, or try this cool K2. I mean, I got it from Amazon.com. Right, and this is another quote by Kurt Cobain. It says, drugs are a waste of time. They destroy your memory and self-respect and everything that goes along with your self-esteem. So if you see the lives of people who have been on drugs, who have abused alcohol, you see their end, and it's not pretty. It's not pretty at all. Okay? And these are some of the verses that I found on alcohol and on drugs. So in Ephesians 5:18, this is in the Old Testament and the New Testament, and it kind of highlights what the Bible thinks, or what God thinks about something like alcohol. So Ephesians 5:18, it says, "And be not drunk with wine, wherein is excess, but be filled with the Spirit." So that's one thing. So the Spirit on one hand, getting drunk is on the other hand. They're two polar opposites. Proverbs 21 says, "Wine is a mocker, strong drink is raging, and whosoever is deceived thereby is not wise." So do you want to become wise? Don't get drunk. Galatians 5:21. It's pretty harsh. It says, "Envyings, murders, drunkenness, revelings," or drinking parties, "and such alike, of which I tell you before, as I have told you in time past, that they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of God." It's pretty harsh. Yikes. 1 Peter 5:8 says, "Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, is as a roaring lion, who walks about seeking whom he may devour." Again, in many ways, some of these things can seem benign, can seem like something that you can see someone who is doing well for themselves, who, again, star student, star athlete, but on Friday nights he smokes a joint or goes out drinking. And at the beginning, it doesn't seem like it's anything serious. It looks like something that's part of their lifestyle, and it's a choice. But if you look at their lives later on, it paints a very different picture. I had someone with me in college who was an honors student in honors housing, and in his freshman year, he was found to have some weed on him, and that was the end of it. He was kicked out of school, kicked out of the honors program, and till now, he's just floating around smoking weed. I mean, that's it. There's no life after that. 1 Corinthians 6:10, it says, "Nor thieves, nor covetous, nor drunkards, nor revilers, nor extortioners shall inherit the kingdom of God." Again, highlighting the same thing what he said. These are some other verses as well. So Proverbs has many verses on drinking. It says in Proverbs 23, 29, 35, it says, "Who has woe, who has sorrow, who has contentions, who has babbling, who has wounds without cause, who has redness of the eyes?" What does that give you a picture of? Someone high, right? Proverbs 23, 20, 21 says, "Be not among wine-bibbers, among riotous eaters of flesh." And again, Isaiah 5:11 says, "Woe unto them that rise up early in the morning, that they may follow strong drink, that continue until night till wine inflame them." Isaiah 5:22 says, "Woe unto them that are mighty to drink wine, and men of strength to mingle strong drink." Not men of weakness, men of strength. Football athlete, star student, who goes out and drinks. Woe to them. Like, watch out. Like, hit the brakes. Like, it's a very slippery slope. And Proverbs 21:17 says, "He that loves pleasure shall be a poor man. He that loves wine and oil shall not be rich." Again, highlighting the same thing. And ultimately, we're called for more, guys. Again, this topic is not to talk about why wine or why drinking or why drugs are bad, but because we're called for something better. We're called for something holier. We're called to become leaders and changers and movers of society. We're not called to be consumers, but producers. We're called to change those around us. We're called to be salt and light, right? You're called to be different. Because if the salt loses flavor, what? How shall it be seasoned, right? You not take a light and put it under a basket, but on a lampstand. So that, what? Absolutely. So you're called to be a light. You're called to be salt. You're called to season the world around you. You're called to shine a light to those around you. You're called to change people. You're called to make a difference. And Christ did not come for us to be sad or to be by ourselves or to live an unfulfilling life. He came in John 10:10, he tells us, I come that they may have life and have it abundantly. You're supposed to live an abundant life, but that does not include abusing things that alter reality. The goal is for reality to be joined with God. And when you have God, you don't need anything, right? 1 Peter 2:9, we read that, but you are a chosen race, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people for his own possession, that you may proclaim the excellencies of him who called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. Again, we're special, we're set apart. Galatians 2:20, we read, I have been crucified with Christ. It is no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. In the life I now live in the flesh, I live by faith in the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself for me. We've been bought at a price, a very hefty price. Honor that price. And glory be to God forever, amen. You guys have any questions? Thoughts? So let's go out drinking? I'm just kidding. All right, thank you guys.
On behalf of the Sunday school servants, and they would like to give you something. It was a pleasure and an honor to have you. Thank you for your time, and thank you. Any questions? Have awesome youth, and you're
Yeah,
awesome
guys have any
speakers,
questions, let
so
me know.
your opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. And also, so I'm also involved in, if a lot of you guys are in high school, you're going to be in college pretty soon. If anyone is interested in healthcare, wants to explore different avenues in healthcare, want to see how you could serve in a larger setting, let me know. So there is an organization called SAMANA, Coptic Medical Association of North America, and what the organization aims to do is to connect youth, college and graduate students and professionals to glorify God through their work. So that could look like a trip to Ethiopia, where you serve others. It could be a local health fair. It could be a gathering of people like you guys discussing things like, is abortion bad or good?
We had a debate about that.
Good. Talk about the ethics, about different things, why you would do something, why you wouldn't do something, how you are different than others in school or in the hospital or in the clinic, what sets you apart. So if you guys are interested, let me know, ask me, or you could go online, samanaamerica.org. I'll have everything there. Alrighty? Thank you guys.
Nice talk by Michael. Samana is a great organization. I went with them on a trip a few years ago. Even if you're not interested in medicine or healthcare, they have like evangelism parts of the trip. So you guys should all, you're at this good age right now where you have time to go on a trip one of those. It's usually very beneficial. Other aspect, great talk. You guys are gonna all go to college soon. I know like it's scare tactics, don't drink, do this, do whatever. But in college, it's really not even about grabbing a glass of drink, for dinner, for wine, whatever. It's more college. When they drink, they're out for binge drinking, meaning the only reason they're drinking is to get drunk. High school too. So that's the aspect that drinking. The other aspect with the drugs and etc. Even in healthcare with doctors, every other year you hear of it, like another doctor overdosing or passing out or had a drug problem. It's very common, very rare. One time, like a lot of these drugs, even for marijuana or like the painkillers, you'll have one painkiller and then they get addicted to it. It's a physical dependence where your body actually needs it and they can't get off of it. And then I've seen in the past few years, I've known physicians who have overdosed. They see them the next day in the hospital, they're passed out somewhere and they knew about it, but no one could solve that problem for them. So it's a serious issue. That's why we say don't even try something. Like especially with the marijuana and the opioids and the Percocets or any of those medications. Like right now, there's a heroin epidemic. If you go into the streets of New York, you probably heard about heroin in your high schools. It's one of those drugs that if you try it once, you could get hooked. It's an immediate dependence. Your body's not going to be able to get rid of it. So we're not trying to scare anyone. Michael gave a great talk about the aspects, but even if in your mind you're coming from a great family, you have great social background, you have a great social setting, these drugs cross all of these lines. Right now, heroin is the biggest problem in the suburbs. It's rich families.
South Jersey, actually, they have like, school nurses are carrying the kids that going there. Yes, yeah, and police officers and all that, and it's in suburban, very rich families, no social issues. It's South Jersey, big epidemic. And one of my patients that, like Michael said, honor student on full scholarship in the dorm, decided to celebrate her birthday with the friends, with alcohol, of course, involved. Before she knew it, there was rape, there was legal issues, she was kicked out of it was like terrible. Her life is never the same. Of course, her parents just took her out of school. There was few rapes in that same setting after everybody, of course, was, out of their mind, very irresponsible behavior, and it's just none of this youth, the life is the same anymore. They all have legal issues, have school issues, family issues. It's just not the same, and it was just one birthday celebration. So be very watchful, and it's only the slope starts with only one step, and before you can't control it anymore.
So one of the comments is about a young friend who passed away because of an overdose, was 23 years old, and left a 2-year-old baby. Someone just wanted to raise awareness about that. Again, it's very sad to see something like that. I've worked in NICUs or neonatal ICUs where you see someone who was addicted to opioids and their child comes out of this world and is already addicted. And it's a very sad, yes.
Babies, infants, they have withdrawal symptoms in the first few hours of life. The baby is jittery and have withdrawal symptoms. And of course, on the long run, they already had insult their brain while it's developing. So, these kids, fetal alcohol syndrome, they are babies that just for life, they are not normal people. And of course, the kids that come out with positive drugs in their system, it's already their IQ and already their brain and central nervous system have been affected in utero before they were even born or given chance. So it's not only affecting them, but affecting their babies, which is terrible.
Thank you, guys. Do you have any other comments or questions, thoughts? Thanks, guys.
This is from Jennifer. It's been there for a long time. Thank you so much.
Hey guys, we're just gonna close in prayer real quick. So, in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, one God, amen. Lord, we thank you for bringing us all here today in your name. Lord, we ask you to illuminate our minds and allow us to see why we are set apart, Lord, to see how we are different than the world around us, to see that we are also very susceptible and can easily fall into any of these things that we talked about if we're not careful. I ask you, Lord, to give us the guidance, understanding, and the wisdom to remain holy in you, Lord, to remain set apart in you, and to become a source of change to those around us. So in such a holy Theotokos, Saint Mary, and all your saints, hear us, O Lord, and pray thankfully, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Our earth is in heaven, give us today our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Temptation, deliver us from the evil one, in Christ Jesus. Thank you, guys.